In Germany, it was once again the silver arrows and prancing horses that reigned supreme in qualifying despite the engine upgrades for all the Mercedes-powered team. Van Dorn pipped Vettel to pole by under 400ths, and with Hamilton and Gasly setting identical times less than 200ths slower than Lewis. Amazingly, the next four drivers were all exactly 100ths slower than the car ahead of them, with Verstappen setting a .616, Wehrlein a .626, Aarava with a .636, and Ricciardo with a .646. The Mercs seem to be buoyed with their new upgrades, both cars less than a 10th off pole, while Aarava and Danny Rick will have to settle for 7th and 8th respectively, a ways off their teammates. Magnussen was one of the standout performances of the session, managing to get within 2/10 of pole and grab P9 ahead of Giovinazzi, Hülkenberg and Sainz, but Nico and Carlos will have free choice of tires for the start of the race.
What's going on, guys? Aarava here and welcome back to my F1 MyDriver career mode, episode number 11 today for the German Grand Prix. Of course, the first German Grand Prix in the MyDriver series, because it was not in last year's F1 game, of course. So the first time we're coming here to Hockenheim at MyDriver, it'll be interesting to see what the mods kind of cook up at this race today. But before we get on with things, just want to say an announcement for the series, that this series will be going back now from now on to the one episode a week. As we go into the new year, I need to start focusing back on university. I've got deadlines to try and meet when I go back into my second semester of university. So from now on, there'll only be one episode per week of MyDriver, and I've decided to actually change that to every single Friday now. So if you see people asking in the comments or confused in the comment section of the next few videos, please, if you do know, try and inform them that is every single Friday now at 7 PM GMT time, UK time that is. I've decided to change it to every Friday because it just seems like more people are able to potentially watch it after it's been uploaded on a Friday, you know, over the weekend, whereas on a Monday, obviously, although it does cure some Monday blues for some of you guys, you know, less and less people can see it during the week. It's just something that I feel I need to change in that way, just to try and get the series a bit more out there, because I am putting quite a lot of effort into it, and it'd be a shame for it to go a little bit wasted in that way. So I'm changing it to Friday there, so every single Friday now at 7 PM, one a week only now, because I need to think about going back to university, all the coursework I need to get done for deadlines. So that's that announcement. So again, do let people know if they are confused in the comments below. But anyway, let's get on to the German Grand Prix. It's looking like a pretty straightforward two-stop here today. Maybe using all three compounds of tyres, but you never know what might be thrown up here. Maybe even a three-stop if we have the pace. Certainly in the past at Hockenheim, that has been the case. If you do have the pace, a three-stop is a very good strategy, and the undercut does work quite well here at this circuit, but we'll have to see how it goes. We don't want to end up like Ferrari in real life in 2016 trying to undercut no one. But yeah, we'll get on to the starting grid and onto the race. I'll hand you over to Justin to take you through that.
Let's take a look now at the starting grid for today's German Grand Prix. It's again a McLaren on pole and a Ferrari alongside, with Van Dorn taking pole position and Sebastian Vettel taking second position, joining him on that front row. Lewis Hamilton will be starting from third position, just behind his teammate Pierre Gasly, taking that fourth place position, a very strong result for him. Then come the Mercedes boys. Max Verstappen will be starting from fifth, ahead of Pascal Wehrlein in sixth position. Then comes Aarava and Daniel Ricciardo, quite a ways off of their respective teammates. They'll be looking to make up positions in the race. Kevin Magnussen with a fantastic qualifying for the Renault team in ninth position, ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi, rounding out the top 10. On row 6, we've got Nico Hülkenberg in the other Renault and Carlos Sainz in the other Toro Rosso. Then comes Leclerc for Alfa Romeo, Sergio Perez with that improved engine power from the Mercedes engine up to 14th position in today's qualifying. Then comes Schumacher and Grosjean in 15th and 16th positions respectively. Esteban Ocon should be pretty happy with 17th position, if a bit far off of Sergio. Then comes Valtteri Bottas in 18th position, Nico Rosberg for the Audi team in 19th, Stroll in 20th position, Sorokin in 21st, and Newgarden bringing up the rear of the grid.
So that was the starting grid, thanks to Justin. Let's get into this, shall we? We're going to 5 red lights for the German Grand Prix. The first German Grand Prix in the MyDriver universe. 5 red lights are out and we're underway. It's a pretty decent start for us. Wehrlein on the right-hand side's got a poor one, so we're going to try and get him into turn 1. Ricciardo behind us, Alter looking down the inside. We have to give Wehrlein the room on the exit of the corner, so he's got back ahead of us. So we'll stay in P7 where we qualified, but we'll try and make a move down the inside of the German, our former teammate in the Mercedes car, going round the outside. This will turn into on this corner, but we just haven't got the drive off that corner. We went actually too wide on the exit. So Verline's got us, so we're down still in P7. Behind us, Giovinazzi's got Ricciardo there, so he's had a great start. And here we go in the second phase of the straight, though. We get great slipstream on the German. Round the outside we'll go with Pascal Verline, and we'll try and hang it around the outside. He's going to squeeze us there. Still go side by side. Got it on the exit, though. Great traction off the exit. So that Mercedes engine may have had an upgrade, but the downforce certainly hasn't been upgraded there. And compared to our Red Bull, we've got great traction over him, and we're able to overtake him now, so we can get a move on. We've got a bit of a gap to the cars ahead. You can see Verstappen there trying to fight. I think that's our teammate Gasly up ahead in what will be P5. So let's try and close up on them, and we do so on towards lap 3. This will be with DRS now, as it's been enabled on this lap. You can see a train forming behind Sebastian Vettel. It looks like it's Hamilton out in the lead, way out in the lead from Vettel, then Van Dorn, Gasly, and then Verstappen, and then obviously us here in P6. And if you look further ahead, you might just be able to see Van Dorn making a move on Sebastian Vettel. We'll cut away to a better camera angle so you can see this better. Van Dorn down the inside of Vettel in the hairpin for P2. He actually slows down the exit. This will be a bit of a domino effect, because you can see Gasly has now gone slowly. Verstappen now making a move down the inside in 7th gear. So close between the two of them, and also myself and Gasly. And now, because Gasly's been caught napping, looking too far ahead to Verstappen, focusing on him, I popped it down the inside, and we got that play. So we used Verstappen to good use there to get our teammate. And remember, really, I don't actually care too much about Verstappen. It's all about Vettel and Gasly, really. So far in this championship, I've just taken it race by race, not really thought about the championship too much. But now, with only 5 races left, including this one, it is getting towards crunch time. It's time to actually just think tactically. The only 2 people I really honestly care about in this race are the guy I just overtook, Gasly, and Sebastian Vettel. So I'm going to use Verstappen as much as I can here. We might be able to do the same once again. You can see now on towards lap 5 as we go onto the back straight with DRS. Verstappen will to get DRS on what will be Van Dorn, but Van Dorn's got some DRS on Vettel, so he's getting away. So we actually might have to make the move on Verstappen is the same time as Van Dorn yet again comes back at Vettel. So Vettel actually managed to re-overtake Van Dorn, that must have been in Sector 2 or Sector 3, but he's re-overtaken him for P2, and we'll use this DRS to good effect and a bit of good traction off the exit of the hairpin to overtake Verstappen. So now we're up into P4. So at the moment, it's still Lewis Hamilton leading the way. He's actually not been anywhere near this scrap. He's actually got a great gap at the moment. So your order at the moment is Hamilton from Van Dorn, Vettel, myself, and then Verstappen obviously right behind us. We move on into lap 6. A big lockup from Van Dorn. That slows Vettel down into the apex there. It has actually caused Vettel a bit of issue. So we're going to try and hang it around the outside, getting on the curbing, then lift off there on the exit of the corner. And it's a good thing we kept it in, because now we've got a great run on the German. Behind us also, we've got Giovinazzi, I think that is, and Verstappen and Ricciardo fighting way 3 wide as we go into the hairpin side by side with Vettel trying to get P3 here. We'll try and squeeze him out, but no, Sebastian's done great. He's still there on the inside. Is he going to hang it around the outside? I think we'll just about get it. Hopefully he backs off. Yes, he does. And so we're up into P3. You can see now Van Dorn is there for the taking, but he's getting away, actually. He's used that scrap to good effect after locking up and effectively backing Vettel into me. He's now gone away from us as we go into the stadium section. It's not over yet. Behind us, look at that. The 2 Ferraris in my mirrors are scrapping away. They go side by side into the stadium section. Beautiful stuff to witness, but that's also probably a little bit nerve-wracking for the Ferrari pit wall. Oh god, look at that. Ricciardo squeezed Vettel off into the curbing. Vettel will be fuming at that, because it looks like, yeah, on the top left, Ricciardo has come out on top. So as we come into the pit on lap 6 for our first pit stop, that is huge stuff there. Ricciardo getting right in the middle of Vettel's championship battle with me and Gasly. You know, we already mentioned Gasly's actually way down the order. It was actually Gasly got overtaken by Ricciardo and both Mercedes cars there. So really, Vettel was in a great position just fighting me, but Ricciardo's come out of nowhere, spanner in the works, and really caused some controversy there for the Ferrari team. Surely they'll be looking to use some team orders there if Ricciardo's pushing Vettel off the circuit and trying to get up the order, because obviously Ricciardo's nowhere near this championship fight, so that's really not what Ferrari need. And as we moved on onto our outlap, you can see Romain Grosjean out of this Grand Prix. Yellow flags up ahead, so it looks like he's had, I think, an engine failure as he goes off onto the runoff area off the circuit. Safety car has been called out there. Fair enough, I guess a bit of a dangerous area to park a car there on the left-hand side. You can see that Haas car going up in flames. And this, interestingly enough, has actually played into Ricciardo's hands, because this is Ricciardo leading the way in what will be the kind of top flight scrap, and Ricciardo's going to come into the pits under the safety car. Now this is great because this effectively means for him that he gets a free pit stop along with my teammate Pierre Gasly, who did not come in yet. Remember, we pit on lap 6, this safety car was on lap 7, they all came in under the safety car. Obviously we're all going slow, myself, Vettel and Verstappen, and so it's actually meant Daniel Ricciardo is leading this Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly, who was 5 positions behind me, is now way out ahead in front of me around P3, P4, and me, Vettel and Verstappen are down here behind the likes of the Toro Rossos, Renault and a few other cars. So that's really not worked out for us, and we've been absolutely screwed there. So on a flicker switch, Ricciardo somehow ended up in the lead this Grand Prix. So really that fight with Vettel was quite a big issue, really, because if he had not overtaken Vettel, he might have not had that call to not come into the pits, and he might have not been leading this Grand Prix. And also with Gasly, if he had not been overtaken by so many cars, he might have come in and got the first call to come into the pits, and he would have been he wouldn't have been out there. So the safety guys really turned the race on its head in terms of the championship. You can see anyway, as we moved on, as I was talking about all of that, we overtook Giovinazzi there with some DRS. Actually, sorry, Sainz. We overtook Sainz there with DRS. We also took Van Dorn, who was caught napping into the hairpin. That was really, really odd for me. Van Dorn really not looking like his former self. You know, you got to say, looking back at MyDriver Season 2, when he won the championship, so feisty, so up for it, so up for a fight. And now he's, you know, letting positions here, getting some bad luck, obviously, but it really hasn't been the same Stoffel Van Dorn, who's a world champion back in 2016. Really has not. So it's a little bit weird, and something that McLaren maybe need to look into is they're obviously now holding off on R&D for the 2019 season coming up in Season 6 of MyDriver. Anyway, we move on back to our fight. Onto lap 12, you can see Gasly, I think that is, trying to make a move on Perez and the Renault of Hulkenberg, and we go side by side, 3 wide for a little bit here on the second straight through turn 1 as we try and overtake Perez, who got squeezed out by Gasly, and now we'll try and hang it around the outside, swoop round. Perez will try his best to keep it in, but we'll have the momentum there on the soft tyre. A little bit of grass on our tyres as we exit the corner a little bit wide, but we've got that place, and now we can try and get a DRS and slipstream on that will be Nico Hulkenberg in the Renault. And meanwhile behind us, Van Dorn's finally woken up and come to his senses. He overtakes Perez, tries to actually make a little nick on me there. He actually got side, he got his nose side by side with my rear right tyre, but it wasn't anything to come of it. But we're now chasing after Hulkenberg, who's chasing after Gasly. So you can see there, Gasly really did gain quite a lot from the safety car, because he was at least 4 positions behind us. He was behind Ricciardo, Verstappen and Wehrlein before the safety car, so he really did benefit. You can see there, look at this, Hulkenberg going side by side. He's made a fantastic move down the inside of Gasly. He's done me an absolute great favour, because now Gasly's slowed down on the exit. I've lost the back end though, because we can't capitalise on it completely, but Hulkenberg with great pace in that Renault. Obviously he got his first podium last time out in the Spanish Grand Prix, and now he's on a move and he's up into the podium positions yet again in P3. So Hulkenberg doing some great work lately in that Renault car, trying to show that he's worthy of a seat of that Renault car next year alongside Kevin Magnussen. And now we'll get right up there inside of Pierre Gasly, switch it, did a fake to the right, down the inside to the left, lock up on the rear on the left front tyre, but now we'll squeeze out Gasly and we'll get that place, and we've made no haste of it, and we're up into P4. So as we move through the final corner on towards what will be lap 14 when we cross the line, things are looking very, very good at the German Grand Prix. We're ahead of both Gasly and Vettel. As we cross the line, actually, we're up into P3 now as well. So someone made a very late pit stop indeed. So that will mean Hulkenberg is actually in P2 now, which is even more fantastic for him, you got to say. And the pit wall at Renault will be very, very happy indeed. But we're going to try and spoil the party. Let's see if we can get a good exit and get DRS. We will do. Let's try and see the power of the Renault engine works team versus the Renault branded Tag Heuer engine in the back of this Red Bull. You can see clearly the difference in setup. Hulkenberg and the Renault team going for a low drag setup. Obviously Red Bull, our team, we're known for the downforce, and so you can see Hulkenberg able to keep ahead of us, and we lock up even trying to outbrake him and catch some time up there. So now we have to look behind us, because actually I'm a little bit wary because Gasly's kept up with us. So at the moment, Ricciardo, though, out in a world of his own after that safety car, you know, positive impact for him. But anyway, we move on to lap 15. You can see now Gasly's coming back at us. We're going to try and defend around the outside. We'll keep it just ahead of him for now, but he'll actually keep his nose in there, and he'll actually touch our rear tyre. That's a little bit dirty from Gasly. So he's used a little bump in draft there to try and close up on us. He's now down the inside. We'll go side by side. He's made it through there. He's actually got through ahead of us through that right-hander in 7th gear. We'll lock up on the right tyre. A little bang of the tyres to try and squeeze him out there, and we'll keep it in P3 for now. But Gasly really a little bit dirty there on the exit of the hairpin to try and close up. He kind of used the tyres banging to slow us down as we come to the stadium section, losing the back end a little bit, having to do some big defending here, as obviously Gasly's got a bit of fresher tyres because he was able to pit under the safety car, obviously, so that would have held him out a little bit. We've got yellow flags for, oh, Van Dorn. Van Dorn's out of the race. He's actually just behind us. Wow, Van Dorn out of the race. Look at that. You can see up in smokes, the McLaren Honda engine is out of this race. The McLaren Honda car is out of this race. The Honda engine's gone up in smokes. So it was a bad race for Hamilton so far, who I don't actually know why, but he's gone down the order in this Grand Prix. And now his teammate Van Dorn's out of the race with an engine failure there, so really unfortunate for him. So we move on later, onto lap 19, a few laps later from that incident. Now Gasly's coming through with DRS, and he's still right past this, unfortunately, so we're going to have to tuck in behind him for P4. So maybe on the very next lap on the same area, we can try and get him again with DRS, or potentially later on into that onto this lap. Unfortunately, couldn't dive bomb him into the hairpin to get the place back straight away. But if we can try and just hold him up here and have a battle with him and ruin his stint here on the medium tyres, this will be really, really good, because then that surely means into the final stint of the race will be looking dandy on that final set of tyres. So into the last corner, we actually get a great entry, and down the inside we'll go to the final corner, squeeze him out, up into P3. Gasly moves very, very aggressively through our inside, sticks it down the inside. We're going to have to lift off and give him the room. That means we actually go off circuit, and so the FIA might have an issue with that, but it doesn't matter because Gasly's got great momentum anyway through the first corner and gets back on us. We do this switch back now and try and go around the outside to this next corner. We'll do it. He'll just about give us the room there on the exit. So just like we did with Vettel, trying to hang around the outside, he's got the legs on us, unfortunately, there. He squeezes out a little bit onto that racing line. We've got DRS, slipstream. We'll go to the outside of the circuit on the left-hand side. Round the outside we'll go. Still side by side, absolute fantastic battle between teammates here, and this is a little bit personal now because this is an inter-team battle for the championship here. You know, Vettel's down the order, so this is really for the glory at the German Grand Prix. Can we stick it down the inside? Yes, we can. Tap tyres a little bit, squeeze him out. Gasly will have to surely tuck him behind us. No, he's kept it down the inside. He's kept his nose in, and he'll still be there down the inside. We go into the stadium section. He's still side by side there. We'll just about hang around the outside. Can we squeeze him out? No, we can't. Gasly's still there, still going side by side. The two Red Bull cars, fantastic to witness. We're going to try and squeeze him out at that corner, and finally, I can catch my breath, and we've squeezed him out there, and actually we'll come in straight away for our final pit stop, which will be for the soft tyres. Actually, you thought I might have been saying medium tyres, but actually we took these set of softs from lap 6 to lap 20, 14 laps. We've got 14 laps left in the Grand Prix, so why don't I just stick on another set of soft tyres? We've got great pace, good tyre wear on them, so I just thought that last minute that we should go onto the soft tyres. Decided that earlier on, actually, before that battle. So we're coming out on for our out lap onto another set of soft tyres, and Gasly, who was on the mediums, will come out surely onto another set of softs. So we'll be going toe-to-toe on the same set of tyres, so no excuses from him or me on who's on the slower tyre. So if we do indeed come out near him, once he's made his pit stop, there'll be no excuses in terms of the battle. But anyway, moving on to lap 21, on towards lap 22, you can see now we're in P9 behind Sebastian Vettel on the medium tyres. And I believe, actually, surprisingly, Vettel's already made his final pit stop, I think. So Vettel somehow jumped us there. So that battle with Gasly actually did cost us quite a bit of time, it looks like, if Vettel is indeed has made his final pit stop. I can't be sure of that, but for sure Hulkenberg definitely has, and he's still ahead of us, but we're closing up to him already with DRS. Now we'll get off the back from Vettel. Vettel will try and come back at us, but you can see he just gets stuck behind us a little bit in the mirrors, and up ahead Hulkenberg's made the move on Charles Leclerc, and he'll actually do me a favour once again because he slows Leclerc down like he did with Gasly. We go down the inside of Leclerc and we'll get him on the exit of the corner. I think he's on worn soft tyres there, so up the place, and now we can really get a move on to try and close up to Hulkenberg for what will be a net P2 in this Grand Prix at the moment. Still, Daniel Ricciardo leads the way, still got that advantage from the safety car. Really has just trickled down to him all the time he's gained there, and he's just kept it with some decent pace up ahead in the lead, obviously with some clean air. We move on to lap 23, setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so we have really got the fire underneath our arse right now to try and catch Hulkenberg, and this time I'm determined to try and get him in this DRS zone. We're a lot closer to his rear end than we were last time. He's also crucially on a slower set of tyres than we were last time, so here, surely, this time round with DRS, can we try and make a move down into the hairpin corner to try and get this very slippery and low drag Renault car and try and get up into what will be a net P2. Down the inside, we'll dive it, and Hulkenberg doesn't have anything to answer to us, and we're up into what will be effectively P2 in this Grand Prix. A very, very crucial move we need to make. So now it's me there, Hulkenberg behind us, Vettel behind us, and then I think the likes of Giovinazzi and the two Mercedes cars. Verstappen still unable to get up the order because of that safety car situation. Unfortunate, really, because the two Mercedes cars looked really, really decent, but I think both of them got hampered by that safety car that did come out. It really did kind of stomp on their strategy, because Mercedes engine really has improved quite a bit to this race, and I think they're bringing more upgrades for the next race, which will be obviously Italy, so quite a crucial place for engine power. We move on to lap 24 now. We've got 10 laps left in this Grand Prix. You can see behind me, Hulkenberg is closing up a little bit, so the pace hasn't been too great as our tyres start to wear off, just like they did last stint. But Hulkenberg comes back with DRS, so that, as I mentioned, that low drag Renault, it's not over yet. Hulkenberg will come through. He's going to try and make a move around the outside. He's got us, and yet again, just like Gasly did, he uses touching the rear tyres, his front to my rear tyres, to kind of slow us down a little bit. So I don't know what's wrong with some of the drivers this Grand Prix, but they're acting quite a little bit dirty on the exit of the hairpin to try and stop us getting away in the traction zone. But we move on now to lap 25. Yeah, still thankfully ahead of Hulkenberg, who's actually doing us a favour now on lap 25, because he's holding up the likes of Gasly, Vettel and Giovinazzi behind us. You can see in the mini-map we've got quite a nice gap now. One lap later, as we come through the final corner, you saw Perez in the fast lap of the Grand Prix, just showing how good the Mercedes engines are working at the moment in the latter stages of this Grand Prix. But you can see there we go, through turn 1. It's now Hulkenberg there in P3, Vettel P4, Gasly P5. But this order might be about to change as Vettel's getting a little bit impatient now, so he makes a move down the inside of Hulkenberg, trying to go up into P3. Gasly maybe trying to follow him through, as they're both getting really held up, as I mentioned, and I'm getting away here. But Vettel's now crucially got back ahead. But look at this, Hulkenberg will come back with DRS, and look at this speed that Renault has got with the low drag setup. There goes Gasly as well. Vettel's getting mugged off here in front of his pals. Gasly goes down the inside. Giovinazzi might even try, and look at that. Audi's come to join us as well, of Nico Rosberg. Rosberg doing fantastic in his home Grand Prix, and Audi to be right up there, so close to the likes of the Toro Rosso cars and a Ferrari. But you can see Hulkenberg's got back up into P3, so thank you very much, Hulkenberg, doing God's work there for me, really, holding these guys up. But now, finally, Gasly gets really impatient, gets the move on here, and just like I did, he'll go down the inside into the hairpin, actually get it done before the braking zone even gets there, and Gasly will now go up into P3. He'll squeeze out Hulkenberg. That will actually allow Vettel to have a little bit of a look into it, but you can see he got squeezed out there on the exit. But finally then, onto the very next lap, Vettel will get the DRS, get the move, get the speed, and overtake Hulkenberg finally, and he'll go up into what will be P4. So Hulkenberg down to P5. You can see Rosberg has overtaken Giovinazzi, so Rosberg's up into what will be, I think that's P7 there, or P5, P6, sorry. So either way, doing fantastic in an Audi to be right there, so close to a Ferrari, as I mentioned before. And there we are, trying to get away as much as we can. But unfortunately now, with Gasly being released and Vettel being released from the train that was Nico Hulkenberg, onto lap 32, towards the end of lap 32, on towards lap 33, as we'll move across the line. Gasly has now got the bit between his teeth and is closing up on us, and the same with Vettel through turn 1, trying to use all the kind of piece of track we can on the exit. They're going a little bit wide, extending the track as much as we can to try and get away from Gasly, because I'm constantly looking behind in my mirrors, because he is looking very, very good. He did pit a few laps later than us for those soft tyres. He'll have good pace and good exit off that corner, and here he comes with DRS slipstream on the left hand side. And there he goes again, sailing past us, but this time I'm not going to lay down and just take this from Gasly. We go down the inside, lock up a tiny bit, but we get the place back there, and Gasly probably was a little bit too overconfident, probably thought he was going to do the exact same he did last time there and just get me very easily. So no, we got the place back up into P2 there. You can see the gap to Ricciardo quite big, so Ricciardo is definitely going to win this Grand Prix. But who's going to come in second place? We're coming through the final few corners on towards the last lap of the Grand Prix. You can see Vettel has closed up on Gasly as well. Through the final corner, Gasly gets a great exit. I've lost the back end a tiny bit. Gasly will come through on the left hand side. He's taken us out! Gasly's taken us out. We're out of this Grand Prix! Oh, for fuck's sake, man. Race over. We're in the wall. What the hell are we doing here?
Our top story from the German Grand Prix today was, of course, the contact Pierre Gasly and aarava made as they went into the final lap of the race, which resulted in aarava retiring with broken suspension. Many in the paddock are now asking, where do Red Bull honestly go from here? They already had a fractured structure, with the junior team outperforming them to 2 race victories before this latest incident even occurred. Horner was said to be under pressure from Helmut Marko to fire part of their R&D department and bring in some from Toro Rosso after it was clear in Hungary that the downforce heavy strategy they had been deploying was not reaping enough benefits. And now their star drivers have crossed the line. Gasly and aarava used to be on good terms. In fact, the very reason Gasly stayed put at Red Bull when aarava was brought in for 2018 was because they both had good respect for one another after racing each other in GP2 before F1. But slowly this season, we have seen this break down. A few squeezes on track or squabbling when they should have been working together to fight the cars ahead. And now this is the icing on the cake, no matter whose fault it was. Quote, "Something must be done," Christian Horner has said, speaking post-race. Helmut Marko was asked for his take on it and simply said, quote, "They were both fighting for the championship and we were leading the constructors. Now those two statements are false." Let us know who you think was to blame for the clash in Germany in the comments below.